What advice do you have for anyone who's listening who may be facing their own serious illness or diagnoses right now?
Find people who are in that same situation. There are many, many, many downsides of the internet in our lives today, and I often feel the internet is more pox on our existences than it is certainly any kind of panacea, just to be alliterative. But the internet does allow you to connect in some ways more quickly and efficiently than you otherwise would. For my condition, NAION, there's a support group on Facebook. I never accessed it simply because I was fortunate enough, again, very conscious of the ways in which I'm blessed. I, in fairly short order after this happened to me, began mentioning it or writing about it in the context of my work for the Times. And that brought many people into my inbox. And in those emails, there were exchanges where I could realize, okay, this thing that I'm noticing, that's not unusual. Other people have noticed it. This fear I have, other people in my situation have that exact same fear. You feel immediately less alone. And then educate yourself in responsible ways. Don't just surf the internet indiscriminately and end up in crackpotville, which is many corners of the internet. But if you surf the internet in an intelligent way, taking care to note where you're going and all that, you can pick up a lot of information. I had a doctor tell me right out of the gate that it was going to be an enormous risk for me to fly to my remaining good eye. And it was partly through bouncing that off of other doctors, but it was also through looking in the internet, seeing are there any studies that say that, et cetera, that I realized rather quickly that was not the conventional wisdom or a consensus perspective. That was almost more of a renegade theory. You can figure some of this stuff out, but it takes an investment of time, and it takes you getting beyond, any sort of kind of fear or catatonia over what you've just been told about your diagnosis. You kind of have to steady yourself, ground yourself, and be practical.